The Modi government is planning to launch a fortnightly magazine with the objective of spreading its message and talking about its policies, its schemes, and what it has done in the last 1 year in power. Now, let's remember this also comes in the middle of the COVID crisis, when the government has got a lot of bad publicity for how migrants have been handled and for the kind of pain and trauma the migrants have had to go through. What is the objective of this magazine? What is it going to be about? Let's find out in this live episode of Government Matters with me, Ruhi Tewari. I have with me Amrita Nayak Dutta, who tracks the INB ministry for us. In fact, you can log on to ThePrint.in to read her story on this. Amrita, what is this magazine? What is the plan? When was it planned? When will it be launched?
So this is a fortnightly magazine, Ruhi. It's called the New India Samachar. That's what it has been, the tentative name is that. It was supposed to be launched on 1st June, but because of a lot of COVID-related activities, it could not be launched. The next deadline is yet to be finalized, but all the approvals are in place. The initial plan is to have 4 lakh copies of the magazine, and this will primarily cover 3 things.
Right.
One, of course, is all the cabinet related decisions, and how that impact the local, the population, and also about all the different schemes and activities that the government is doing. And third is the COVID related efforts that the government has taken. As you know, as you just said, it has received a lot of flack for its handling of the migrant crisis. So yeah, so this kind of aims to
mitigate that to a certain extent.
Right.
But Amrita, was it planned before the COVID situation hit India, or is it a fresh plan?
This was planned somewhere in the last 3-4 months. So it wasn't specifically planned to keep COVID into account, though now COVID will be a wide part of it, yes. But yes, it was a greater plan. There was a greater plan to ensure that the government receives good press, and
through its own press.
The government's through its own press, and the government's word is effectively it gets to the audience.
Message is sent out, right?
That's right.
Just to remind our audiences, this is a live conversation, so do send in your questions. Amrita will be happy to answer them. Amrita, how will the government circulate the magazine? Who will it go to? Will it be free, or is it available online? There are various questions that come to mind.
That's right. So as of now, the price or whether it will be free, it is most likely it would be free. As of now, the price or anything of that sort has not been decided. It will be published and printed by the Bureau of Outreach Communication.
Okay.
That is the media unit under the Ministry of INB. The printer will be narrowed down by inviting open bids, and it will be sent to a large database. There are plans to send it to all the principals of schools and colleges. Apparently, there is a 10 lakh database of schools and colleges available with the government already. And it will also be sent to the panchayats. These are the plans to send it across. Now, later on, they may come up with a price, but that's not on the cards right now.
But is there going to be an online version as well?
Not immediately, but yeah, eventually, yes.
Who's going to edit the magazine? Who's going to be the editor of the magazine?
So the material, the editorial and everything else will be sent in by the PIB to the Bureau of Outreach Communication. So PIB is anyway, as you know, doing a lot of press releases. They're also coming up with a COVID news bulletin every day.
Right.
So it will be easy for PIB to gather the material and send it across to the Bureau of Outreach Communication so that they can be put into the magazine.
But Amrita, is it the first instance of the government coming out with a magazine or a newsletter, or have there been such instances in the past as well?
So the government already comes up with a couple of very old magazines. One of them is Yojana, which mostly covers the socio-economic related activities or developments of the government. Then you have something called Employment News, which talks about, it's a weekly which talks about various employment related news.
Right.
Then you have Kurukshetra, which is about rural development and agriculture. So they have a couple of magazines, very old, but this magazine is different in the sense it will primarily look at publicizing the achievements and what the government has done Primarily that. Yeah.
Right. So I have a few viewer questions. Ravindra wants to know, what is the magazine all about? So you have talked about it in an earlier answer, but would you like to elaborate on anything right now?
Yeah, so as I said, it would be primarily what the government is doing, its various schemes, how many people has those schemes touched, has they reached out to. As you have seen in the last 1 year, the government, whatever it has done, it has never failed to publicize that. And,
this government is excels in publicity, as we all know.
Yeah,
right.
they do project there, and they have often used very innovative techniques. As we reported in January, they are also planning to come out with a book, documenting the stories of refugees to counter the anti-Muslim image that it got during the CAA. So they have done that. We also reported about BJP spokesperson interviewing BJP cabinet ministers.
Right.
So they are very innovative in their approaches of publicity, and this, of course, would be one of the ways, and it would reach a wide variety of audience, absolutely free of cost. As I just said, the panchayats, the schools and educational institutes, the government already has the database, so it will reach them pretty easily.
Right. So, you were talking about innovative techniques of spreading the message, and one of those innovative techniques is the Prime Minister's radio show Mann Ki Baat, which happens on the last Sunday of every month. So we have a related question from Jay. With the Mann Ki Baat and the magazine like this, won't this amount to the government running its own press? So surely there would be a certain concern about, blurring the line between, say, a radio show and, a neutral magazine to the government completely running its propaganda.
That's true, but that has been the trend by and large. As you would have seen, we did not have a press conference by the Prime Minister ever.
Right.
So we are not very sure if the government is willing to take questions, but at the same time, it has vigorously pushed its message through various platforms. Mann Ki Baat, of course, is one
of them, right.
And you have a variety of other avenues through where they push out their messages repeatedly, and and of course it is their one-sided message that we get, and we don't really get a chance to ask questions
to the Prime Minister particularly.
Yes.
Arjun Parmeswaran, is insecurity the reason for coming out with the magazine? So it's an interesting question, because this 1 year of the Modi government has been very different from its previous 5 years. It's been a difficult 1 year. The economy has been in free fall. Job losses have been a big question. Now COVID has hit, the migrant crisis has emerged. So it's not been a great year for the government. It's certainly not the kind of year Narendra Modi perhaps would have wanted. Of course, there have been positives as far as they are concerned with the CAA and Triple Talaq bill and Article 370. But somewhere down the line, they seem to have lost their way. Is this what prompted the government to come up with the magazine? Has it, what are people telling you off the record?
I would say that what people tell me is this is just one of the many other ways that the government is employing to ensure that it doesn't get a bad press. When the COVID crisis hit the country, the government has also formed 11 empowered groups, and one of them is specifically looking at countering fake news and ensuring positive press for the government.
Right.
So, that also includes foreign press, that also includes, our own press, and to ensure that the right word, the right opinion is created through various edit pieces by experts, by their own cabinet ministers.
We saw on the 1 year of the Modi government.
On the 1 year, so many people wrote about their own initiatives, and the focus has primarily been the Prime Minister, the COVID related initiatives, as well as the Atmanirbhar Bharat, the self-reliance as call announced by the Prime Minister.
Right. Srivatsa Koganti, how will it be checked that only facts are published? So that's going to be a big problem. This will surely be as much of a propaganda as possible. Fact checking is not going to be the forte at all.
So we have to see, we can say that only after the first edition is published, whether it's purely the neutral press releases or the press statements, is it an expansion of that given out in the magazine, or it also includes stories of beneficiaries. As you would have seen that the government has repeatedly employed Doordarshan and All India Radio. Very recently they had gone to different parts of the country and interviewed beneficiaries of government schemes. So we have to see that if those kind of inputs are there in the magazine, more of them, or would it be more like, very, very factual? So that only we get to know.
We'll know
after
only once the magazine is perhaps ready
out.
and
yeah.
right.
But I would like to emphasize that this is one of the ways.
Right.
There are many other innovative ways. In the previous year, in the previous government, we had seen that how a Namo TV,
right,
completely
correct.
new platform.
Just before the elections, in fact.
Just before the elections, that was a completely innovative and new platform, and it was a loophole, and it was not permitted, but yet they managed to use it. So,
right.
so it's just one of the ways.
Right. Also, the BJP uses social media very effectively to spread its
very
message.
Effectively.
So,
yes, that's true. That's true.
Right. Karthik, what is the motive of the magazine? So I think we've talked about this, that it's essentially to spread the government's message.
To spread the government's word, to ensure that positive opinion is created about the government, to ensure that its schemes get proper publicity. Yes, primarily that.
Right. Love wants to know, where all will this magazine be available? Are they pushing out online editions? So as you mentioned, it will be distributed in there.
Yeah, as of now, it will be distributed to the various people, the various database, the available database, that will be the immediate push. Eventually, of course, I'm sure it will be available to the normal public as well, as is Yojana and Kurukshetra, the other magazines.
Right. Mandeep wants to know, is this a step by the government to establish a direct relationship with the citizens? So let me just expand the question a little bit. Is it also a way of doing away with the traditional media? You know, that they don't need you and me, or they don't need a television media to report on what they are doing. This can be done effectively and in a positive manner by their own press.
Well, Ruhi, the government has repeatedly ensured that, Man Ki Baat, of course, is again a one-sided message. This is also going to be a one-sided message. Of course, the government can selectively take editorials and questions and or you can say letters to the editor, as it does in Man Ki Baat.
Right.
So it is effectively a one-sided communication. The larger motive is just to publicize its schemes, and I don't think it's a two-way communication at all here. And yes, your own media, the traditional media, would anyway be sidelined in this case, like in many other cases.
So Amrita, the question is that if the government anyway comes up with press releases every day, all ministries, whatever happens, have a press release. On top of it, they have their own BJP, RSS have their own mouthpieces, like various other parties do. It's not just the BJP and RSS.
Right.
What is the need for this separate? I mean, how will it be different from all of that, or will it be a compilation of all of that? Is there clarity on that front?
That's right. I would say, Ruhi, the government has realized that public memory is very short, So you get a press release today, you forget about that tomorrow.
Right.
Whereas every fortnightly, a comprehensive capsule of information, purely positive initiatives of the government, the good things that they have done, the good schemes that they have highlighted, if those come to you in a proper printed format, I believe they feel that the memory would last longer.
And it will reach perhaps a wider audience.
It will reach a wider audience to schools. Who knows? They may make it compulsory.
Right.
So that all depends on when it comes actually.
Right. Azruddin Malik wants to know, is it a stride towards one-sided messaging, which you've constantly pointed out in this conversation?
Yes,
that
the
it
BJP interviewing, BJP spokesperson interviewing, Man Ki Baat, everything has been a one-sided communication primarily.
Right. Keith De Rosario, possibility of the government creating hurdles for the independent press after they start their own magazine. Is that a possibility, or that's not going to be impacted?
No, I don't think that would affect the media in any way. But yes, this is definitely yet another way to reach the audience directly, sidelining the traditional press.
Right. Now, Amrita, before we close, I want to ask one last question. When elections happen and when polling is due, then, what happens is that you're not allowed to campaign beyond a certain point, or you're not allowed to, government is not allowed to publicize its initiatives because it's a violation of the Model Code of Conduct.
Right.
I know it's a far-fetched thought. I know elections are far away. But where will this fit in as far as that is concerned? Because will it be an independent magazine? Will it be a government magazine? I mean,
it will be purely a government magazine, and I'm sure, like, if the government has worked its way around something like a platform channel like Namo TV,
exactly,
it can pretty much work its way around it. It won't really affect. You can always portray the magazine. I mean, you don't shut down PIB when there is an election. You still give out information. So the government can always say that this is giving out information about our own schemes, and it doesn't have to be politicized or look at looked at from an election commission's point of view.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Amrita. If I'm not wrong, this was your debut in Government Matters.
That's true.
Was it not?
That's true.
Well, Amrita making her debut in Government Matters and explaining to us what this initiative by the Modi government of coming out with this ambitious fortnightly magazine is. Thank you so much for watching Government Matters, for sending in your questions. We have an OTC and off the cuff this evening where Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot will be in conversation with the Print's editor-in-chief Shekhar Gupta. We'll post the link of that conversation online on our YouTube channel at 8 p.m. So stay tuned for that.